Sarah Collins brushed dirt from her hands onto her trusty gardening apron, narrowing her eyes against the morning sun that streamed through the greenhouse panels of the nursery. Her phone vibrated, signaling yet another request for a client consultation. After years of dedication, her modest landscape design venture was finally starting to flourish. At 34, she had crafted a life that, though humble, enabled her to sustain herself and Oliver while staying true to her aspirations. The tranquil cadence of her morning ritual was abruptly disrupted as she gathered the mail. Amidst the familiar stack of bills and gardening catalogs, there rested an envelope that exuded opulence, crafted from cream-hued, substantial paper adorned with gold embossing that shimmered in the light. Her hands quivered ever so slightly as she acknowledged the return address, Foster Enterprises, Manhattan. "Mom, have you come across my blue coding notebook?" Oliver's voice resonated from within their cozy craftsman home, pulling her back to the moment. She slipped the envelope into her apron pocket, hesitant to confront what it might mean. "Check your backpack, sweetie, the outside pocket," she called back, gathering her thoughts before stepping inside. Oliver was positioned at the kitchen island, leaning over his laptop, his sandy blonde hair cascading across his forehead in a manner that made her heart skip a beat. With each passing year, he increasingly resembled his father. Understood. He brandished the notebook with a sense of victory. "Mrs. Rodriguez announced that we are embarking on a new project today. I'm exploring algorithms and I've got a few concepts I'm eager to experiment with." With a warm smile, Sarah playfully tousled his hair as she walked by. "Don't forget to have your breakfast as well, clever one." She poured herself a cup of coffee, the envelope pressing against her pocket with an urgency that felt almost palpable. "What time does the coding club meet today?" "For 30. Is it possible to ride my bike there? Jack and Emma will be joining as well. Message me when you get here," she said, observing him relish his eggs. At 12, Oliver was already demonstrating the same exceptional intellect for technology that had propelled James Foster to the heights of the tech industry. She couldn't help but notice the irony. In a shimmering skyscraper that towered over Central Park, James Foster gazed out from his office window, rhythmically manipulating a tension ball in his hands. On his desk, the whirlwind of wedding preparations clamored for his focus. Venue contracts, catering details, and Victoria's ceaseless inquiries about flowers and table settings. Mr. Foster, accompanied by his assistant Rebecca, made his entrance through the doorway. "The wedding planner requires final confirmation on the guest list by the end of the day." James nodded absent-mindedly, his thoughts drifting to the board meeting from earlier that morning. Foster Enterprises stood on the brink of unveiling its most daring AI platform to date, and the weight of ensuring his company's continued supremacy weighed heavily on him. Are there any warning signs? No noteworthy details. Despite the presence of a single name, Rebecca found herself pausing. Sarah Collins. She found herself included by default in the tech industry newsletter database, but I can take her out. Leave it, James cut in, surprising even himself. The invitation has likely already been dispatched. Regardless. He faced the window once more, his silence a clear dismissal of Rebecca. Once more in solitude, he permitted himself to reminisce about Sarah. Not the frustrated, frantic version from their previous meeting, but the exceptional computer science student who had once challenged and motivated him before everything fell apart. Before he had opted for ambition instead of what she had asserted was responsibility. That evening, Sarah settled into her small desk once Oliver had drifted off to sleep. The invitation at last revealed itself to her. The ink danced across the thick paper, as James Foster and Victoria Kent graciously extend their invitation. Her finger glided over the raised letters, evoking memories of a younger James. Exceptional yet gentle, driven yet authentic. Before achievement had transformed him into a person capable of rejecting his own offspring. Oliver's laughter resonated from earlier that day, his thrill at cracking a particularly tough coding problem, striking her so deeply with memories of James that it ached. She grabbed her phone, swiftly typed a brief RSVP acceptance, and pressed send before doubt could creep in. Her son had a right to understand his roots, regardless of James's refusal to accept them. Perhaps, Just perhaps, encountering Oliver face-to-face could shatter the meticulously crafted barriers James had erected around his history. Sarah carefully placed the invitation into her desk drawer, right beside the folder holding 12 years of meticulously preserved proof of James' paternity. She opted not to utilize any evidence, allowing Oliver's clear inheritance to convey everything on its own. Oliver sat cross-legged on his bed, encircled by computer parts he'd rescued from the nearby repair shop. His fingers glided skillfully over the motherboard, as tutorial videos softly streamed on his tablet. Sarah lingered in his doorway, captivated by his concentration, the very same fervor that had once turned James from a bright student into a technological genius. She declared that dinner would be ready in 10 minutes. Oliver scarcely acknowledged, absorbed in his work. Perhaps we should tidy up some of these electronics before they completely dominate your space. Mother, I'm creating something significant, he insisted, finally lifting his gaze. His blue eyes, those belonging to James, shimmered with enthusiasm. Do you recall mentioning that the inventory system at the garden center keeps failing? I believe I can create a solution to resolve it. Sarah felt a familiar tightening in her chest, a blend of pride in his innate talents and a flutter of anxiety over how closely he mirrored his father. That's considerate, darling. But perhaps you should begin by tidying up your room first. As they sat down for dinner, the stir-fry made from their modest vegetable garden, Oliver absent-mindedly picked at his food, his mind clearly elsewhere. Mom, Jack's father will be leading our coding club next week. He mentioned that he previously collaborated with James Foster. Sarah's fork hovered in mid-air, suspended just before her lips. Did he really? Indeed. He mentioned that Mr. Foster was already developing incredible programs in college. Oliver maneuvered his broccoli across the plate, a silent protest against the green vegetable. Are you familiar with him at all? Today in science class we delved into the workings of Foster Enterprises. Their new AI platform is truly remarkable. With a measured tone, Sarah placed her fork on the table. We were both students at the same university. He exhibited remarkable concentration and an unwavering determination. She paused for a moment, savoring a sip of water to gather her thoughts. What prompts your inquiry? Merely inquisitive. People discuss him as if he possesses extraordinary brilliance. Oliver's expression shifted to one of contemplation. Jack's father mentioned that he was familiar with you from that time as well. In a modest computer science department, Sarah sidestepped the conversation, rising to tidy her plate. What do you think about ice cream? We still have some mint chocolate chip left. Later that night, Sarah immersed herself in a series of news articles about James. The impending nuptials between Victoria Kent, a socialite and tech journalist, captured the attention of the business sections. Images captured their presence at philanthropic events and technology symposiums. James appeared just as she recalled, yet there was an added edge to him now, more challenging. A message from her closest friend, Rachel, made her phone vibrate. Are you truly attending his wedding? Sarah responded with a message. Oliver seeks to uncover his origins, regardless of James's refusal to recognize them. What if he does? Are you prepared for that? Sarah remained silent. Instead, she flipped open her laptop, bringing up Oliver's most recent school reports. The remarks from his teacher were exceptionally positive, particularly regarding his performance in STEM subjects. Demonstrates remarkable skill in tackling intricate challenges, possesses an innate grasp of programming principles, and exhibits strong leadership abilities in collaborative endeavors. For all these years, she had shielded Oliver from the sting of rejection, skillfully weaving responses about his father that maintained a delicate balance between honesty and the harsh reality. She had said he needed to leave when Oliver was just a child. At times, individuals find themselves making decisions that cannot be reversed. Recently, each individual has carved out their own unique journey. The essence lies in the family we select for ourselves. Yet witnessing Oliver flourish in his abilities, observing James's brilliance manifest in their child, rendered it increasingly challenging to uphold those delicate boundaries. Just last week, Oliver triumphed at his school's science fair with a project focused on artificial intelligence, the very domain that had propelled his father to wealth. A sudden knock at her door broke the silence of her contemplation. Oliver lingered in his coding club t-shirt, an air of uncertainty surrounding him. Restless, she inquired, gently tapping the space next to her. He settled into his seat, restlessly toying with his tablet. I came across some vintage articles regarding Foster Enterprises. Did you know that Mr. Foster created his first successful program when he was the same age as I am now? Sarah felt a tightness in her chest. That seems accurate. Mother? Oliver's voice held a soft, subdued quality. At times, I find myself pondering whether, if my father shared my traits, if he had an affinity for coding as well. Sarah drew him near, inhaling the fragrance of his shampoo. Embrace your individuality, Oliver. Your abilities belong to you. She pressed her lips gently to the crown of his head. You possess an array of remarkable traits that extend far beyond the realm of coding. As Oliver embraced her for the night and quietly made his way to his room, Sarah found herself pondering whether her choices were truly the right ones. The wedding invitation appeared to thrum with anticipation from within her desk drawer. A relentless clock counting down to an inevitable clash she had spent 12 years both fearing and quietly looking forward to. In her more somber reflections, she envisioned James's expression upon seeing Oliver, the undeniable resemblance between them strikingly apparent. Yet her greatest concern was for Oliver's heart, so vulnerable and trusting, even with her diligent efforts to shield it. The idea of James turning him down once more, this time directly, haunted her thoughts and prevented her from finding rest throughout the night. James Foster stood before the expansive windows of his penthouse office, observing as the lights of Manhattan began to twinkle in the encroaching twilight. Behind him, a striking engagement photo with Victoria commanded one wall, showcasing a flawless power couple immortalized by Annie Leibovitz for Vanity Fair's tech issue. Mr. Foster, the board is awaiting your presence, Rebecca conveyed via the intercom. He adjusted his tailored suit and collected his thoughts. Today's presentation will reveal Foster Enterprises' most ambitious project to date, an AI platform poised to transform personal computing, the very endeavor that has occupied his thoughts for the past 5 years, allowing little space for anything else. Victoria occupied her seat at the conference table, exuding a blend of professionalism and warmth as he walked in. As the leading voice in technology journalism, she grasped his realm in ways that eluded others. She captured his attention with a smile, her fingers dancing across the tablet as she took notes. Ladies and gentlemen, James started, capturing the audience's focus. What you are about to witness embodies not only the future of Foster Enterprises but also the evolution of human-computer interaction as a whole. The presentation progressed seamlessly until an unexpected notification appeared on his screen. Final approval needed for the wedding guest list. His rhythm stumbled briefly when Sarah Collins' name drew his attention. Rebecca had pointed it out before, yet he brushed it aside, attempting to overlook the way it unsettled the balance of his meticulously arranged life. Is that you, James? Her voice pulled him from his thoughts, a showcase of the neural network. He bounced back swiftly, diving into the intricate details that had solidified his status as a legend in Silicon Valley. Yet Sarah's name hovered at the edge of his awareness, an unwelcome specter from days gone by. Later, in the solitude of his private elevator ascending to the penthouse, Victoria perused the wedding preparations displayed on her phone. The list of guests has arrived. There's a familiar face from your university days. Sarah Collins. She has established a landscape design firm now. James relaxed his tie. Is it a small business? Extremely. Primarily focused on residential projects. Victoria examined his features closely. Wasn't she part of your computer science program? In summary, the elevator doors slid open, revealing their apartment, where expansive windows stretched from floor to ceiling, framing breathtaking vistas of Central Park. She departed prior to completing her degree. Victoria placed her phone on the table. James, if there's anything I need to be aware of before the wedding, in the realm of ancient history, he interrupted her, pouring himself a scotch. She asserted certain points, attempting to add complexity when I was launching the business. It led to no outcome. Yet, in the solitude of his home office that evening, James began to look for Sarah on the internet. The company website displayed understated yet sophisticated garden designs, accolades from the local community, a compact team, a stark contrast to the exceptional programmer he had known during their college days. He navigated through images of her latest endeavors, pausing at one that captured her kneeling in a garden, sharing insights with a young boy. The image had a relaxed vibe, likely captured by a client, yet there was something in the boy's profile that caused James to grip his mouse more firmly. A sudden knock broke the silence of his contemplation. "Are you ready to join me in bed?" Victoria inquired from the threshold. James shut the browser, having just gone over some code. He trailed behind her into the bedroom, where wedding plans were strewn across her desk. Seating layouts, floral designs, culinary selections. A life he had selected, structured, and foreseeable. Yet in his dreams that night, he found himself in the university computer lab, observing Sarah as she debugged his first significant program, her insights cutting deeper than his own. Before achievement and drive had transformed their narrative. Before her urgent phone call regarding a pregnancy test had jeopardized everything he had worked for. As the first light of dawn broke, he found himself awake, gazing down at the vast expanse of his empire, and he pondered the reasons behind his unwavering belief in her deception at that time. Yet the reality was, he had never truly allowed himself to entertain any alternative. It was simpler to overlook her assertions, to concentrate on transforming Foster Enterprises into a technological powerhouse. As the wedding day drew near and Sarah's RSVP was in hand, James couldn't help but reflect on the possibilities that one decision made 12 years prior might have shaped, what he could have created or lost in its wake. The estate in the Hamptons unfolded majestically before Sarah and Oliver, as their Uber navigated the winding private drive. White tents adorned the pristine lawn, while staff scurried between them, finalizing arrangements for the wedding set to unfold tomorrow. Oliver leaned closer to the window, absorbing the breathtaking view. "This place is enormous," he murmured, reminiscent of a tech campus. Sarah tightened her grip on his hand. "Do you recall our previous discussion? We're attending a special occasion, yet we're choosing to remain in our own little world this evening. How about we enjoy dinner in our room and perhaps take a stroll along the beach?" They arrived at their humble hotel just a few miles from the estate, where Sarah had indulged in a room with an ocean view. It had pushed her finances to the limit, yet she was determined to make this weekend memorable for Oliver, no matter the outcome of the wedding. "Is it possible for me to position my laptop near the window?" Oliver inquired, as he began to retrieve his coding notebook. "The scenery could provide some clarity as I work through this challenging algorithm." Sarah observed him as he nestled into his usual coding stance, one leg folded beneath him, his bottom lip held between his teeth in focused thought, reminiscent of how James used to sit. She proposed an hour of coding followed by some time at the beach. Her phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. "Rachel, once more. There's still an opportunity to reconsider. There would be no reason for anyone to hold you accountable." Sarah responded with a message. "We have arrived. There's no way to reverse this decision." In the heart of the estate, James found himself surrounded by the burgeoning scene of his future wedding, while Victoria orchestrated the setup crew with remarkable precision. Tomorrow, 400 guests will gather to witness their union: tech industry leaders, venture capitalists, prominent figures from society, and an unexpected specter from his past. "Text, the rehearsal dinner is set for 7, Victoria reminded him, glancing at her tablet. "Make sure to conclude your calls by 6. James nodded, lost in thought, his attention drifting to the notification that had caught his eye earlier. Sarah Collins arrived at the Seabreeze Hotel with a guest. "Is everything all right?" Victoria brushed her fingers against his arm. "Your mind appears to be elsewhere, preoccupied with the speech you have to deliver tomorrow." He managed to conjure a smile. The AI announcement could easily steal the spotlight from the wedding if we're not cautious. Victoria chuckled. "It's just like you to plan a significant product launch during the same week as your wedding." She pressed her lips gently against his cheek. "That's the reason I adore you." Relentlessly advancing, with no glances to the past. As the afternoon slipped into evening, James found himself reflecting on the past. He stood at his study window, observing the sunset as it brushed the ocean with hues of gold, and recalled a different beach, a different sunset from 12 years past. On the evening when Sarah attempted to share the news of her pregnancy, it was the same night he had charged her with deceit, claiming she was trying to ensnare him, to exploit his rising fame. His phone chimed with a message from Rebecca. The final guest list was confirmed. Sarah Collins and her +1. The rehearsal dinner was alive with chatter and joy, yet James seemed oblivious to it all. His gaze wandered repeatedly to the entrance, despite the certainty that Sarah would not be arriving. She was neither immediate family nor a member of the wedding party. She had lost all significance to him, yet something about that additional presence lingered in his thoughts. He politely disengaged from the discussion with Victoria's parents and made his way to the terrace, once more accessing Sarah's company website. The image of her with the boy dominated his screen. He focused intently, examining the child's features, the way he carried himself, the recognizable angle of his head. "Is that you, James?" Victoria stood framed in the doorway. "They are prepared for the celebratory speeches." He slipped his phone into his pocket, shoving aside the lingering questions that had tormented him for over a decade. Tomorrow marked the day of his wedding, a union of two influential families, the pinnacle of all his efforts. As he lifted his glass to celebrate the future ahead, a future he had once deemed unattainable, a young boy strolled along a moonlit beach 3 miles distant, sharing the wonders of the stars with his mother, his face a reflection of the man who chose to turn away. The morning broke with clarity and brilliance, an ideal day in the Hamptons. With a gentle touch, Sarah adjusted Oliver's tie, her fingers quivering ever so slightly as she meticulously straightened his collar. "You look so handsome," she said, her eyes glistening with unexpected tears. "Mom, it's merely a wedding. What's with the strange behavior?" Oliver adjusted his navy blazer, a recent purchase that had stretched her budget but felt entirely justified, evoking a sense of nostalgia. She examined her own reflection. The blue silk dress exuded a quiet elegance, a simple yet striking piece acquired during a sale months prior. "Just a reminder, if anyone inquires, I'm aware, Mom, our presence here is due to your talent in garden design." Oliver let out a playful sigh, his eyes rolling in a light-hearted manner. "Is it possible for me to bring my tablet?" "Not at the ceremony," Sarah stated with conviction, "but you can hold it during the reception." At the estate, a delightful disarray prevailed. James gazed out of his window, observing the guests as they arrived, while his best man recited the itinerary for the day. A sudden glimpse of blue drew his attention, revealing a woman and child making their way along the path. There was something in the way they moved that caught his attention, yet they vanished from sight before he could concentrate on them. The ceremony unfolded like a dream, filled with flawless moments, all carefully orchestrated by Victoria and their wedding coordinator. James articulated his vows with clarity, beamed at the appropriate moments, and sealed his promises with a kiss, eliciting enthusiastic applause from the crowd. It was only at the reception that the meticulously built facade of his existence started to show signs of fracture. He spotted Sarah first, sitting at a table toward the back, more refined than he recalled, yet fundamentally the same. Then his gaze moved to the boy next to her, and the earth appeared to fall away. The young one was absorbed in what appeared to be a tablet, his silhouette hauntingly recognizable. As if aware of James's gaze, he lifted his eyes, and James discovered himself captivated by a face that seemed to have emerged from his own childhood memories. "Is that you, James?" Victoria brushed her fingers against his arm. "The photographers are ready to begin the formal shots." He averted his gaze, yet the vision lingered in his mind. The boy's features, the manner in which he carried himself, the recognizable crease of focus between his brows. Throughout the photos, the toasts, the first dance, James sensed his presence as if it were a tangible burden. Sarah held Oliver tightly, guiding them away from the bustling throng. Yet, at dinner, she caught sight of James observing them, his expression inscrutable. Victoria observed that as well. Sarah witnessed the precise instant the other woman grasped the situation, her eyes growing wide as she shifted her gaze between James and Oliver. "Mother, may I present something to you?" Oliver raised his tablet, unaware of the subtle tensions enveloping him. "I successfully developed the inventory program for the garden center." "That's lovely, dear, but perhaps another time." "Is that a programming endeavor?" A fresh voice broke the silence. James stood at their table, with Victoria by his side, both donning rehearsed smiles that failed to illuminate their eyes. Oliver glanced upward, eager to unveil his creation. "Indeed, I'm crafting a program to assist my mum's business. The existing system is failing repeatedly, prompting me to create an improved solution." For a fleeting instant, James's exterior faltered as he caught a glimpse of his own youthful excitement mirrored in Oliver's expression. "What is your age?" he inquired, his voice trembling slightly. 12, Oliver replied with a sense of pride. "I started coding at the age of 9. The ensuing silence was overwhelming. Victoria's grip on James's arm grew firmer as the weight of the implications settled in. "James," Sarah said softly, "I believe you understand the reason for our presence." The moment elongated, delicate as crystal. Then James straightened, his facade slipping seamlessly back into position. "Thank you for your presence," he remarked with a certain rigidity. "I trust you will find the reception delightful." He turned and left, with Victoria trailing behind after casting a lingering glance at Oliver. Yet the harm had already been inflicted. Soft murmurs floated through the reception, as guests exchanged glances between James and Oliver, recognizing the striking similarity between them. Sarah placed her hand gently on Oliver's shoulder. "Shall we make our way back to the hotel?" "Yet, I felt the urge to share my program with him," Oliver insisted, a look of bewilderment crossing his features. Sarah collected her belongings, struggling to hold back her tears. "Another moment, darling, another moment." As they departed, she stole a final look at James, who stood solitary on the terrace, gazing after them with an unreadable expression. Victoria was engaged in a heated discussion with the wedding planner, her voice laced with urgency as they set about mitigating the situation behind him. The ideal wedding had split apart, exposing the hidden realities underneath. In the weeks after the wedding, Victoria observed her new husband begin to come apart at the seams. James dedicated countless hours in his secluded home office, doors firmly shut, delving into a treasure trove of old photos and news articles. She'd find him gazing into the distance, adrift in contemplation, his typical sharp concentration unfocused. "We must discuss this," she finally stated one evening, pushing his untouched dinner aside. "The lad unmistakably belongs to you." James paused, the scotch in his glass swirling as he contemplated his next words. "I persuaded myself that she was not telling the truth. The timing could have thrown everything off course. The company was just beginning to soar, and now I can't help but notice it everywhere. He possesses my mother's gaze, particularly in the way he positions himself while coding. I remember sitting just like that." He pressed his fingertips to his temples. "I've lost track of 12 years. Victoria took a seat next to him, urging him not to let any more opportunities slip away. Meanwhile, Sarah immersed herself in her projects, accepting a greater number of clients than she typically would. She observed Oliver intently for any indications of unease, yet he appeared unaffected, still engrossed in his coding endeavors and academic pursuits, until one afternoon when he glanced up from his laptop, a frown etched on his face. "Mother, what was up with Mr. Foster's strange behavior at the wedding?" Sarah paused, her hands resting on the delicate lines of her garden sketches. "Could you clarify what you mean?" At first, he appeared genuinely intrigued by my program, but then he abruptly walked away, leaving everyone staring at us. Oliver shut his laptop with a decisive click. "Have I made a mistake?" "Absolutely not, darling, you haven't done anything wrong." Sarah shifted her position to settle next to him. "At times, the pasts of adults can be quite intricate. Were you acquainted with him? Prior to that?" With a steadying inhale, Sarah gathered her thoughts. "Indeed, We shared a bond that felt unbreakable. Just as Oliver was about to delve deeper with his inquiries, her phone vibrated, signaling an incoming email. The subject line sent a chill through her. Foster Enterprises. Program for Coding Innovation. The correspondence was formal, originating from James's assistant, Rebecca. Dear Ms. Collins, Foster Enterprises is unveiling a unique coding program tailored for exceptionally talented young programmers. Considering Oliver's evident skills, we would like to invite him to take part. The program is set to commence next month and will continue for a duration of 12 weeks. Attached are the program details and registration information for your review. Best wishes, Rebecca Chen, Executive Assistant to James Foster. Sarah's hands trembled as she absorbed the information. The program was authentic, recognized as one of the most esteemed in the nation. Oliver would absolutely enjoy it. But the timing is off. Mom, you seem a bit off. She managed to smile. Only professional matters. She shut the email, requiring a moment to reflect. That evening, she reached out to Rachel. He's attempting to reach Oliver by means of coding. Is that unexpected for you? Rachel inquired. That's the one aspect they certainly share. I'm feeling uncertain about my next steps. Oliver would truly excel in this program, however, yet, there's a lingering fear that James might cause him pain once more. With a heavy heart, Sarah let out a deep sigh. What if this is merely an attempt to manage the situation? What if he's only acting this way because the guests at the wedding pointed out the similarity? Or perhaps, Rachel suggested softly, encountering Oliver made him aware of what he has been missing. In a quiet corner of the city, James found himself in his office, fixated on the registration form of Oliver displayed on his screen. Victoria assisted him in crafting the program proposal, ensuring that every detail was transparent and polished. It's just the beginning, she had remarked. A method to understand him better without causing any stress for anyone involved. As James examined Oliver's school records, noting his impressive grades, victories in coding competitions, and the enthusiastic endorsements from his teachers, the heaviness of his absence settled heavily upon him. Years of accomplishments he had overlooked. For 12 years, his son has blossomed into an extraordinary individual in his absence. He slid open the desk drawer, retrieving a photograph from his younger years. At the age of 12, he found himself hunched over his first computer. The similarity to Oliver was striking. James had dedicated years to constructing a vast empire of technology. Yet he had overlooked the creation of something far more significant. His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A notification via email. Sarah had replied to the program invitation. His finger lingered above the screen, a tumult of fear and hope battling within him. The atmosphere at the Foster Enterprises Innovation Center buzzed with excitement as 20 young programmers took their places at their workstations. Oliver perched in the front row, his fingers poised with anticipation above the keyboard, oblivious to James observing from the other side of the one-way glass in the observation room. Your code is exceptional, Dr. Martinez, the program director, remarked softly as he slid a tablet over to James. Observe the way he organized this algorithm. He's not merely replicating patterns. He's creating something new. James examined Oliver's work, seeing reflections of his own initial coding style in the graceful solutions. He surpasses my abilities at that age. Every instructor echoes the same sentiment. He possesses your innate grasp of systems, yet there's an additional quality at play. Dr. Martinez took a moment to reflect. He assists his peers, dedicates time to clarify ideas, and offers his perspectives. He's not only brilliant, he possesses a kindness reminiscent of his mother, James whispered. In the classroom, Oliver animatedly conveyed his approach to another student, his hands moving expressively as he navigated through the problem. Sarah's impact was evident in his gentle approach to teaching, a stark contrast to the fiercely competitive nature of James's own upbringing. The program convened 3 times a week, and James felt an irresistible pull towards the observation room during each session. He observed Oliver confront progressively intricate challenges, noted how he navigated problems from unconventional perspectives, and recognized the manner in which his peers were drawn to his innate ability to lead. Sarah consistently showed up ahead of schedule for pickup, patiently waiting in her car outside the building. That was until one fateful afternoon when a thunderstorm compelled her to seek refuge indoors. She stood in the lobby, water cascading from her rain jacket, and suddenly found herself eye to eye with James. "He's remarkable," James murmured softly before she had a chance to pull away. Sarah's posture relaxed a bit. "Indeed, he is. I would like to have a conversation." Regarding all matters, James waved his hand toward his office. "Kindly." After a prolonged pause, Sarah gave a slight nod. "Not in this moment, not at this time, but it will come soon." Upstairs, Oliver was showcasing his latest endeavor, an intricate inventory management system he had crafted for small enterprises, drawing inspiration from the requirements of his mother's garden center. While showcasing the program's features, James acknowledged the way Sarah's pragmatic insights intertwined with his own technical aspirations. Oliver shared with the class that while most inventory systems cater to large companies, the requirements of small businesses differ significantly. This adjusts to their size while remaining robust enough to expand alongside them. James experienced a complex mix of pride and regret swirling within him. His son possessed a remarkable technical aptitude, yet he chose to direct it towards aiding others instead of merely seeking financial gain. After 12 years away, Oliver had transformed into someone greater than James had ever been. The session concluded, and the students started to gather their equipment. Oliver meticulously saved his work, organized his notes with a deliberate precision, a practice James recognized from his own habits. James observed his son through the glass as he collected his belongings, engaged in conversation with his classmates, and made his way toward the exit. Each action reflected his own past, yet was gently molded by Sarah's presence, infused with her principles. In the lobby, Sarah stood patiently, holding 2 umbrellas, one designated for each of them. James observed their effortless rapport, the seamless way they navigated each other's presence, and felt the heavy burden of all he had discarded 12 years prior. Victoria discovered him later, remaining in the observation room. What was his demeanor like today? She inquired, even though she was already aware. She had noticed the transformation in James during the last few weeks, especially the way his face brightened when he spoke of Oliver's achievements. "He embodies all that I might have become," James murmured softly, "had I chosen a different path." The room had descended into shadows, the screens now muted, yet James could still discern Oliver's code on the monitors. Graceful answers to intricate challenges, crafted by a young mind that had miraculously absorbed the finest traits of both parents while forging a distinct identity of his own. The main auditorium of the Innovation Center was alive with energy on Showcase Day. Parents, leaders from the tech industry, and executives from Foster Enterprises occupied the seats, as anxious students hurried to finalize their presentations. Oliver occupied the front row, tablet poised in his grip, his gaze drifting now and then to the entrance where Sarah had just entered. James stood at the podium, his typical authoritative demeanor slightly diminished. "Welcome to the Young Innovators Showcase presented by Foster Enterprises." The students embody the future of technology, showcasing not only their technical abilities, but also their insightful vision for how these skills can benefit others. He caught a fleeting glimpse of Sarah's eyes before moving on. She positioned herself towards the rear, clad in an unadorned dress and an expression that hinted at caution. Victoria occupied the front row, her presence a blend of encouragement and vigilant observation of her husband's every action. The presentations commenced. Every student showcased remarkable projects, yet the atmosphere transformed distinctly as Oliver stepped into the spotlight. James clutched the armrest of his chair, observing his son captivate the audience with effortless charm. "The inception of my project was rooted in a challenge," Oliver began, his voice resonating with clarity and assurance. "Small businesses face challenges with costly and overly complex inventory systems. I observed my mom's garden center squandering time and resources grappling with software failures and superfluous features." He unveiled his demonstration, showcasing the refined interface he had meticulously crafted. The system evolves alongside the business's scale, absorbing usage patterns to anticipate requirements and minimize waste. It's more than merely monitoring stock levels. It's about grasping the inner workings of small businesses. James leaned forward, a wave of realization crashing over him. Oliver's project was not merely a display of technical brilliance. It revealed a deep comprehension of human needs, an aspect James frequently neglected in his quest for innovation. Inquiries from the audience ensued. Oliver approached them with grace, articulating intricate ideas in a way that was easy to understand. When a venture capitalist inquired about monetization strategies, Oliver's reply took James by surprise. Oliver explained that the aim isn't to maximize profit. His purpose is to empower small enterprises to flourish. That's the reason I'm choosing to make it open source. It is accessible for all to utilize, adapt, and enhance. Achievement goes beyond mere financial gain. It's about creating an impact. From her seat, Sarah observed James's reaction, noting the effect of Oliver's words. The architect of ambition, who prioritized gain above kin, observed as his son embarked on a contrasting journey. Following the presentations at the reception, James stood close to Sarah while Oliver showcased his project to an eager crowd of developers. He possesses your intellect, Sarah whispered softly, along with a heart uniquely his. He possesses your heart, James clarified. Your perspective on what truly counts. He hesitated, grappling with the phrases that had lingered for 12 years, yearning to be expressed. Sarah, not at this moment, she interjected softly. This is his time to shine. They observed Oliver as he detailed a particularly ingenious feature to Victoria, who had leaned in closer to examine his work. Her authentic curiosity appeared to catch both Oliver and Sarah off guard. He's truly exceptional, Victoria remarked later as she and James made their way home, and he's your child. It's undeniable at this point, neither to others nor to oneself. James gazed out the car window, reflecting on Oliver's presentation. His son had harnessed the same abilities that James had employed to amass wealth and influence, but instead, he directed them towards aiding others. In achieving this, he had crafted something far more precious than any offering James had ever introduced. That evening, James found himself in his office, the project documentation from Oliver displayed on his screen. With meticulous attention, he followed the path of his son's creations, recognizing in every graceful resolution a journey not embarked upon, a distinct legacy contrasting with the one he had dedicated over a decade to construct. He reached for his phone and started crafting a message to Sarah. It's essential that we discuss all matters, if you don't mind. The cursor blinked, poised for action. While across the city, a 12-year-old boy slept soundly, blissfully ignorant that his showcase presentation was beginning to unravel the very fabric of his father's meticulously built world. The cafe Sarah selected was intentionally neutral ground, a serene spot in Greenwich Village, removed from both Foster Enterprises and her familiar hangouts. She made her entrance ahead of time, choosing a secluded corner table that provided a sense of intimacy while still allowing for an open atmosphere. James arrived right on the dot, donning a relaxed sweater rather than his typical suit. Sarah noticed the effort to seem less intimidating. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me, he remarked as he settled into his seat. Victoria had extended an invitation to join, yet they had both concurred that this discussion was meant to unfold solely between the two of them. Oliver's program is set to debut next week. Sarah started, cradling her coffee cup in her hands. 20 small businesses have already committed to testing it. I understand. The development team expresses admiration. They are looking to extend an internship opportunity to him for the upcoming summer. Sarah's fingers curled more firmly around her cup. He is 12 years old, James. At the age of 13, I landed my first programming job. Just take a moment to observe the outcome of that situation. The barb struck true. James reclined, embracing the situation. I earned that. I was worthy of something far more severe. This isn't about us, Sarah stated with conviction. This piece revolves around Oliver. He's beginning to pose inquiries that I can no longer respond to. What type of inquiries? He's curious about why you gave him that odd look at the wedding, why you jumped into this coding program immediately after, and why there are hushed conversations whenever we're at the Innovation Center. She locked her gaze with his. James is truly exceptional. He'll come to understand it before long. James fell silent for a brief moment, observing the flow of pedestrians as they moved past the window. What have you shared with him regarding his father? That he needed to leave, that at times, grown-ups make decisions that cannot be reversed. Sarah's voice took on a gentle quality. I never mentioned to him that you turned him down. I never wished for him to bear that burden. What is the reason behind this? James inquired, a note of authentic bewilderment in his tone. You might have chosen to take legal action against me, requested assistance, revealed all. Having witnessed the effects of anger and bitterness on my own parents following their divorce. I never wished that for Oliver. She retrieved her phone, gliding her finger across the screen to find a photo. At the age of 10, he embarked on his inaugural coding competition. James gazed at the picture, Oliver clutching a trophy, radiating joy. He expressed a desire to be included in his life, speaking softly, hoping for permission from both of us. I understand that it's more complex than it appears. Do you really? Sarah inclined her body, eager and attentive. This isn't about purchasing his forgiveness through coding programs and internships. What he truly requires is a father figure, rather than just a mentor. I feel uncertain about my role as a father. I had no idea how to navigate being a single mother. I have gained knowledge. Sarah rose, collecting her belongings. Consider deeply what it is that you truly desire, James. Once you enter his world, there's no turning back when things become challenging. What comes next? He inquired as she began to walk away. Family therapy, she stated with conviction. Everyone, Victoria included. We either execute this perfectly, or we won't proceed at all. James acknowledged the terms that were set in stone. Sarah, he called as she approached the door. Thank you for nurturing him to surpass my own abilities. She lingered her hand on the doorframe. He achieved that entirely by himself. The autumn air outside was invigorating, filled with a sense of potential. Sarah sent a message to Rachel. The initial step has been accomplished. How did it turn out? A swift response arrived. Sarah observed from the window as James lingered in solitude, fixated on the image of Oliver displayed on his phone. We'll see, she replied. Time will tell. The therapist's office seemed cramped, overwhelmed by the palpable tension within its walls. Physician. Anderson sat composed in her chair, watching as Sarah, James, and Victoria positioned themselves on different pieces of furniture. Oliver would arrive to join them later. However, it was essential for the adults to set some foundational guidelines. Allow me to clarify our goals, Dr. Anderson commenced. Our goal is to build a strong foundation for Oliver to grasp the narrative of his family. This isn't about pointing fingers or revisiting old grievances, except as they influence Oliver's current situation and what lies ahead. James squirmed in his chair, a sense of unease washing over him. In boardrooms, he captivated the audience. In this moment, he appeared adrift. How can we possibly start to convey this to him? In a sincere tone, Sarah spoke softly. He truly merits that much. Victoria, previously quiet, leaned in closer. I want to clarify my position in this context. I'm not looking to take anyone's place, but I've become a part of Oliver's extended family now. Dr. Anderson gave a satisfied nod. That's precisely the level of clarity we require. Let's delve into our strategy for Oliver's inaugural session. The plan they crafted was thoughtful and deliberate. Oliver was set to join them the next week. James would openly recognize his role as a father, accept accountability for his absence, and emphasize that Oliver was not to blame for any of it. As Oliver stepped into the office a week later, an immediate hush enveloped the room. He glanced between them, his demeanor a blend of caution and intrigue. Greetings, Oliver. Dr. Anderson beamed with warmth. Are you aware of the reason for your presence here today? Oliver settled beside his mother, instinctively reflecting James's stance. Mom mentioned that there are some significant matters we need to discuss together as a family. Indeed, Sarah tightened her grip on his hand. James Foster has something important to share with you. James leaned forward, his well-rehearsed words slipping away from him. Oliver, I am your father. The words lingered, suspended in the atmosphere. Oliver's expression shifted through a spectrum of feelings. Surprise, confusion, comprehension, and an emotion that was more elusive. He finally acknowledged it, saying, I know. All eyes were fixed on him. Do you really? Sarah inquired. It all became clear to me after the wedding. The way individuals gazed upon us, and he cast a fleeting look at James. I came across some photographs of you from when you were my age. We are a perfect match in appearance. James sensed the sting of impending tears. Indeed we do. Why was I not desired by you? The inquiry was straightforward, crushing in its clarity. Oh, my friend, James's voice broke. I made a mistake, a significant one. Fear consumed me, and in my selfishness, I committed the gravest error of my existence. It wasn't a matter of not desiring you. I was simply too afraid to be the father you needed me to be. Victoria placed her hand gently on James's arm, offering him a sense of encouragement as he fought to press on. But you want to take on the role of my father now? Oliver inquired, his voice barely above a whisper. Above all else, James murmured, if you would allow me the opportunity to attempt. Oliver gazed at his mother. Mother. Sarah drew him near. The decision is yours, darling. No matter what you choose, I stand by you. The atmosphere thickened as Oliver contemplated. At last, he shifted his gaze to James. I have stipulations. James blinked, taken aback. All right, you need to attend my coding competitions first. Don't send someone from your company. Send yourself. Completed. Secondly, it's essential that you join Mom and me for dinner at least once a month. Authentic meals, not upscale dining establishments. Sarah's smile blossomed at his unwavering resolve. Third, Oliver cast a quick look at Victoria. It's important to recognize that my mother is my mother. No one can take her place. Victoria responded with a swift nod, completely grasped. And fourth, there was a slight tremor in Oliver's voice. It's essential that you vow not to vanish once more. James knelt down to meet his son's gaze directly.
Y assure you.
I vow on all that I have ever created. The therapy session progressed. Yet a profound change had occurred. They had transformed from mere occupants of a room into a dynamic ensemble. A tapestry of lives interwoven with stories and experiences. They marked the dawn of a family. Complex, flawed, yet striving. The inaugural holiday season came as a challenge to their delicate new setup. On a chilly December evening, Sarah swung open her front door to discover James and Victoria standing on her doorstep, their arms laden with boxes filled with festive Christmas decorations. James said uncertainly that Oliver mentioned you typically decorate tonight. We considered the possibility of coming in. Sarah moved to the side. He's immersed in troubleshooting an issue in his room. You're aware of his tendencies. Victoria presented a bag of takeout. Dinner has been brought. The Thai restaurant that you both enjoy. The everyday familiarity of the scene was simultaneously peculiar and moving. James arranged a pre-lit tree as Oliver detailed his latest coding project. Victoria and Sarah uncovering a mutual love for gardening, while they worked together to untangle the lights. Mom, may I present my new algorithm to Dad? Oliver inquired. The term father lingered on his lips. James paused for a brief moment. A flicker of emotion danced across his face. After dinner, Sarah declared with conviction, the code can wait. They gathered around Sarah's quaint dining table. Shared family-style takeout containers. Oliver commanded the discussion, effortlessly shifting between subjects with youthful exuberance. The grown-ups shared knowing looks above him, navigating their intricate relationships for his benefit. I heard from your mom that you're still playing soccer. James embarked on a journey during a moment of stillness. Indeed, we have reached the regionals. Perhaps you might consider attending my next game. I would appreciate that. James spoke in a gentle tone. Absolutely. As Oliver unveiled his latest programming project to James, Victoria lent a hand to Sarah with the dishes. Thank you, Victoria said softly, for making this simpler than it might have been. Sarah observed from the kitchen doorway as James and Oliver leaned over a laptop, their similar features glowing in the light of the screen. I'm doing it for him. I understand. Nonetheless, I appreciate it. The evening came to a close with steaming mugs of hot chocolate and Oliver's animated conversation about the approaching school science fair. As James and Victoria got ready to depart, Oliver caught everyone off guard by embracing his father in farewell. James paused, caught in the moment, before gently reciprocating the embrace. Above Oliver, his gaze locked with Sarah's, which brimmed with a mix of thankfulness and sorrow. Oliver asked with a sense of anticipation, "Same time next week? I want to show you the science fair project." James made a vow to remain present. Once they departed, Sarah discovered Oliver in his room, already engrossed in his computer. "Are you all right, dear?" He nodded, then hesitated. "Mom, how do you feel about all of this?" Sarah perched on his bed, weighing her words with precision. "I feel fine as long as you feel fine, as long as your happiness shines through." "Victoria isn't all that bad," Oliver suggested. "Today, she assisted me in refining my database structure." "No, she's not bad at all," Sarah said with a smile. "Everyone is simply doing their utmost." Oliver faced his screen once more, but then hesitated again. "Mom, I appreciate you sharing the truth about Dad with me, even when it was difficult." Sarah embraced him closely, inhaling the fragrance of his shampoo. Her little one, maturing at an astonishing pace, guiding them all toward becoming better individuals. That evening, she discovered a message from James. "I appreciate everything you've done for me tonight." She remained silent, yet preserved it among a dozen years of cherished memories. Oliver's initial strides, inaugural utterances, debut line of programming. A fresh chapter was unfolding, chaotic yet intricate, filled with promise. Outside, snow began to fall, blanketing the city in a pristine white canvas, poised for the next chapter to unfold. The annual student showcase brought a remarkable transformation to the Foster Enterprises Innovation Center. This year's event was rescheduled for December, with fairy lights shimmering beside innovative tech showcases. In the front row, an unexpected family gathered closely. Sarah and James flanked Oliver, with Victoria next to James, all intently watching the stage as Dr. Martinez delivered the opening remarks. "This year's showcase is particularly noteworthy," she declared, "as we are unveiling a new accolade for innovation with social impact, inspired by the remarkable project from last year." Oliver nervously toyed with his tablet, concealing his latest endeavor behind layers of password security. Sarah clasped his hand gently as James adjusted his tie, a coordinated pair they had chosen together just last weekend. "You've got this," James whispered. "No matter what happens." The previous year ushered in transformations that none of them could have foreseen. Family dinners had transformed from being a source of discomfort to a place of ease. Soccer matches showcased enthusiastic parents rallying from the sidelines. Victoria had revitalized Sarah's garden center using Oliver's inventory system, which is now in place in various small businesses throughout the city. Oliver stepped onto the stage, exuding greater confidence than the previous year, yet still carrying that charming hint of nervousness. The screens behind him displayed his project, an algorithm for a family tree that intertwined emotional bonds with genetic links. "Conventional family trees reveal our origins," he started, "yet they fail to illustrate our true selves. This program charts the significant connections, the decisions we embrace, the bridges we construct, and the love that shapes our identity beyond mere genetics." The demonstration illustrated the way his algorithm monitored connections, support systems, and emotional ties. Sarah observed James's expression as their complex family unfolded on screen, depicted not as a conventional tree, but as a detailed web of restorative bonds. "Family goes beyond mere biology," Oliver emphasized. "It's truly about being present. It's about persevering after you stumble. It's about the decision to improve each day, striving for a better version of yourself than you were before." In the crowd, Victoria intertwined her fingers with James's, as Sarah brushed away her tears. Their son, having somehow become a part of each of them, was imparting lessons on forgiveness and growth through the intricate language of code. Following the presentation at the reception, Dr. Martinez made their way over to the group. The foundation aims to broaden Oliver's program on a national scale, she stated. With adequate funding and support, it has the potential to assist numerous families. What are your thoughts, my friend? James inquired, the term of affection flowing effortlessly now. Oliver gazed at his parents, all of them, and smiled warmly. It seems we have some programming to tackle. As the night unfolded in Sarah's backyard, they reveled in the warmth of hot chocolate while gazing up at the stars. Oliver nestled between his parents on the weathered porch swing, while Victoria busily plopped marshmallows into each mug. Have you ever considered that we would find ourselves in this situation? Sarah inquired softly, observing the way their breath formed clouds in the chilly December air. James gave a slight shake of his head. I wasn't worthy of it. Perhaps it's not a matter of deserving, Oliver mused. Perhaps it's simply a matter of effort, akin to troubleshooting. Identify the mistakes and correct them line by line. The grown-ups shared knowing looks above him, once more awed by his insight. Above them, stars punctured the city's illumination, while within Sarah's home, Oliver's laptop showcased his family tree algorithm, connections throbbing softly like heartbeats. No longer a tree, but a constellation, every point of light discovering its rightful position in a cosmos of renewed possibilities.